Welcome to the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with the support you need to finish your book. Best part is, after you finish your book, they take care of the entire publishing and marketing process 100% for you. So, if you want to become a successful author, make sure to check out authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Sabrina Permuth with us. She is a wife, mom, and HR professional working in the public sector. Sabrina is also passionate about mental health advocacy and is on the board of a Tampa nonprofit. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Of course. We're glad to have you on. The first question I have for you, Sabrina, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Gotcha. So I think I'm lucky to say I have lots of good stories. Not all of them have good, valuable messages. But what comes to mind is when I was a kid, I always had kind of a restless spirit. And when I was 5 or 6 years old, I lived on a military base in Oak Harbor, Washington. And it wasn't far from the beach. And my friend Katie Miller and I decided that we had enough with our lives and we were going to run away. And so we ran away to the beach and I vividly remember just like deciding I am just not going to deal with my parents anymore. And of course, you get hungry and you're 6 and you're at the beach, right? And so you end up back home. But that kind of like laid the stage for me for the rest of my life. I've always been very independent and kind of on my own program. And when life gets hard, I still run to the beach. So I think the takeaway I have is, especially now with kind of a transition into a new career, the next story of my life, I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper dive and understand what kind of drives this behavior that causes me to run a little bit. And just really appreciate those Katie Millers of my life that are willing to have my back, even though my plan may not be very sound.
Well, and now when you go to the beach, you're able to pay for some food, right? So,
That's right. That's right.
So now you're good.
Exactly.
So the next one I have for you is, what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Sure. Being in HR, I deal with a lot of people, and I think people really, really, really need to understand that perception is reality. And that doesn't mean your perception. That means everybody's individual perceptions is reality. And that the reality is that it's hard to get everybody to work cohesively together because everybody perceives things a little bit differently. And so we really need to take the time to understand what motivates and what's valuable for the people around us to have transformational conversations, or even just to have a productive day. I think that in business and in and of itself, if you don't really understand what the values and motivators for those people, I think Build-A-Bear in their failed marketing effort earlier this year, where they thought, hey, we'll have this great promotion, but didn't really think it through. So to really be successful, you've got to get to those core things, and then everything else kind of flourishes.
And it could tie in, but what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Overall business. Sorry. So I think that.
No, just so you know, you didn't mess up on the last one. That I was asking about your industry, but now I'm just curious, like overall business advice.
Okay, gotcha. Overall, I think that you begin with the end in mind. And when you're doing that, you're going to craft strategy and you're going to craft plans that are sound and well thought out. And you're never going to be able to plan for everything. But, again, beginning with the end in mind, you can anticipate a lot more than if you just jump into things.
And my next one for you is, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
And it's funny because I was thinking about this, and she needs to believe in herself. And this has kind of really been playing over and over and over again in my mind, because I think that when we're younger, I go back to when I graduated college and I got out of college and I thought everybody was going to know what they were doing, because, that's what we read in the books, that everybody had knowledge about what they were doing. And when I got out there and I realized, whoa, that is not the case at all. And I got flustered because I didn't know the questions to ask and where to begin. And looking back on everything, my gut was probably right 95% of the time. And I just didn't believe in myself and started trying to make everybody around me happy. And that was just so much wasted energy that I could have been in driving outcomes and deliverables and things. But sometimes the long way around isn't the bad way, but she definitely should have believed in herself, because she knew what she was thinking.
Mm. And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Definitely, it's experiences. It's not things. Things don't make you happy. Find out, those experiences in every single area of your life. For me, it's going to the beach, right? I mean, that's just always the way it's been. It's those experiences that are truly enriching. And I think what I love most about the beach is it's the sound, it's the smell, it's the feel, it's the shells and the colors, and it's all together, and it's just so soothing and relaxing, that that's what makes me happy at the core of it. It's peaceful, it's calm, and it quiets that noise inside of me. And that's the key to happiness, is finding that calm and quiet within yourself. And if you can get there and if you can sustain that, you're going to have a great life.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
So I think there's two. And I think the first one that I can think of is 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I love this book because it really lays it out there that the issues and the problems that you're having within your team are pretty universal. I mean, there are a lot of commonalities from business to business and place to place. And I think when people start out as a leader, they don't realize that everybody else is dealing with exactly the same thing. And so they spend a lot of energy on things that they don't need to, or they're worrying about things that they don't need to, because, you kind of isolate yourself and make yourself feel like that it's just you. So I love that one because it really normalizes some dysfunctional behavior. And then the other book that I can think of is, there's a book called Fierce Conversations, and it really talks about how you can outline and prepare yourself to have really honest, open conversations with people. And there's a point in the book where they talk about being responsible for your emotional wake, and that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, because you don't think about it, but your words, your actions, everything that you do kind of has an impact on those around you. And when you can start taking responsibility, whether it's intentional or unintentional, for how those things are impacting other people, you can really make stronger, better decisions, because you can course correct some of these things that weren't even on your radar before.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
So it's a Colin Powell quote. And it's one that's always kind of been near and dear to my heart. And it's sometimes responsibility means pissing people off. And not that I like pissing people off, but I love the quote because it reminds me that there's no way you're going to make everybody happy, but you really got to pick. You can't play the middle road, and you've got to go with one or the other. And not that there's always binary outcomes, but you've really got to follow your guiding principles and your values and stick with it, regardless of whether people like it or not. And that's hard sometimes. So I just remind myself that that, you know what, I'm not in it to make everybody happy. I'm in it to do a good job and to help them do a good job.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on. The last one I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find you online?
On LinkedIn. Yeah, I spend all my time on LinkedIn. So.
Me too. I love LinkedIn. So thanks again for jumping on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.